This is Dandelion and Burdock. And when I say that name, most of you might think of the famous drink, Dandelion and Burdock, and indeed that drink was traditionally made by fermenting the roots of these two plants. Nowadays though, they use natural plant extracts or even artificial flavours. All parts of dandelion are edible, albeit bitter, but it's the roots that I mainly use to make dandelion root coffee, which is basically the roots washed, dried and then roasted and then powdered up into a fine powder, which you then just use like an instant coffee, which looks like normal coffee and shares the same diuretic properties, but the similarities in there as the taste is very different and there's no caffeine in dandelion coffee. It is good for you though and helps to detoxify your body. I think it's particularly good for the liver and kidneys. The dandelion name, by the way, comes from the French, excuse my pronunciation, Dandelion, which means lion's tooth because of the jagged nature of the leaves that must have reminded someone of lion's teeth. As for burdock, the leaves are quite similar to rhubarb, with the main differences being that burdock is hairy and so feels quite furry, including underneath, and it also has a hollow stem, unlike rhubarb. The leaves and stem are not considered to be anywhere near nice enough to eat, though by the look of these leaves, some slugs or caterpillars must disagree. But the leaves, because they're so big sometimes, can be used as an umbrella as a last resort, or as a natural tinfoil for baking a potato, or even the root itself when wild camping. The root is, in my opinion, the only nice edible prize from this plant, but remember you do need landowner permission in the UK to uproot a plant. But from my experience, most landowners that you know will be very happy for you to uproot it. The root can sometimes be massive and has a taste somewhere between parsnip and sweet chestnut, sometimes a little bitterness too, but nothing too extreme. You can cook or roast it like any root vegetable really, and in parts of Asia they even cultivate it because they love it so much. Burdock grows in a 2-year life cycle, so the best time to harvest the root is either in autumn of its first year, or even better, spring of its second year. And this is because you need to give it time to build up the root, but you also need to harvest it before it produces the flower spike in the second year, because once it does this, the root becomes all dry, woody and horrible, as all the power and goodness from the root goes into producing the flower spike, flowers and burrs.